It is 4:30. I will call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sarah, can you do roll call, please?
President Bucher,
Here.
Trustee Polly,
Here.
Jeff Albrecht,
Present.
Rush Schwartz, Ryan Filiatro,
Here.
and Sharon Comethill. Here. Thank you.
Okay, did we meet open meeting compliance?
Agendas were posted last week, Friday, March 13th, both online and at Village Hall.
Perfect. Do we have any public comments? Okay, Jennifer Stevens, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. And I should note that we have a 3-minute limit.
Yes,
Go
thank
ahead.
you. Jennifer Stevens, 801 Lakeview Drive. We, the undersigned residents and property owners in Silver Lake, on Dells Road, Lakeview Drive, and Cogswell Drive, respectfully submit this petition that I will hand out at the end of public comments regarding the proposed rezoning and PUD requested for 5 lots by Bear Development and unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. We request that the village board approve the 5 residential lots in the current plan and deny any increase in residential density. As referenced in action item 11.2 on March 3rd, 2026 village board meeting. For more than 23 years, residents have consistently opposed increased residential density on parcels bordering Lakeview Drive, Dells Road, and Cogswell Drive. Since 2022, Bear Development has submitted multiple high-density proposals, each rejected due to concerns over environmental impacts, traffic safety, and harm to Silver Lake. Lakeview Drive is a quiet cul-de-sac used safely by residents and children. Increasing density beyond 5 homes would significantly increase traffic, road damage from construction equipment, and create unsafe conditions as Lakeview Drive has only one exit onto Cogswell Drive. The existing road infrastructure cannot support higher density development. We respectfully request that the village board approve only the 5 residential lots as proposed, deny any increase in residential density, require stormwater and infiltration plans from lot buyers to protect existing homes, land, in Silver Lake. Thank you for your consideration and for protecting the safety, environmental integrity, and character of our neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patricia Drager, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
I'm Patricia Drager, 904 North Lakeview Drive. Members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak. This is not an abstract planning issue for us. This is our homes. We are asking that the 5 lots be allowed to move forward as proposed. High density development may look reasonable on paper to people living in other parts of Salem Lakes, but for those of us who live here on Lakeview Drive, it would permanently change the rural character we chose and worked hard to protect. We did not move here for congestion or overcrowding. If that's what we wanted, we would live in a city. More importantly, this proposal raises serious safety questions. Lakeview is the only way in and out of our neighborhood. Increased traffic will lead to backups, frustration, and risky driving decisions. As parents and neighbors, we worry every day about the children who live and play on this street. We are the ones who will live with the consequences of this decision. We respectfully ask that the voices of the people who call this neighborhood home carry the greatest weight. Please protect the safety, character, and future of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandra Neville, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Sandra Neville, 1081 Eastwood Drive. I've lived in Silver Lake for 30 years. I moved here for the village feel, and I've seen the growth. Claims that higher density development lowers taxes are false. My taxes haven't decreased with the development on Dells and even after the merger of Salem, Trevor, Wilmot, and Silver Lake. Inflation continues to drive costs up, and adding more homes won't meaningfully reduce taxes. What it would do is increase traffic and overcrowding, possibly lowering neighborhood property values, and potentially lower taxes because properties are worth less. Larger lots generate more tax revenue without harming surrounding property values. Fair sale of 5 lots complies with the long-standing zoning and preserves the environmental corridor. Bear knew the zoning restrictions when they purchased the property. Their final proposal of 5 lots complies with the zoning and community's well-being. Please accept their final proposal on behalf of the citizens you represent. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Maggio, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Maggio, 694 North Cogswell Drive. I'd like to start with a simple question. What's the largest economic driver in Silver Lake? It's the lake itself. At a recent lake meeting, we learned that the lakefront homes alone contribute to roughly 1/3 the total tax revenue for Salem Lakes. That's significant, but tax revenue only tells a part of the story. Silver Lake also supports recreation, tourism, local businesses, fishing, boating, swimming, marinas, restaurants, equipment sales, maintenance, and jobs. These activities generate millions of dollars and support livelihood through our community. There's also what economists call non-use value. Lake property owners voluntarily pay additional funds through lake districts to protect water quality. That represents long-term stewardship and investment of millions of dollars over time to preserve this resource for everyone. And there's value can't be easily measured. Health, wellness, quality of life, time outdoors, exercise, family memories, like the morning fog on the water, or a child catching their first fish. These experiences are priceless. Silver Lake is the crown jewel of this community, and its economic value is directly tied to water quality. Improve water quality and economic value rises. Degrade water quality and economic values decline. Silver Lake watershed has limits. Increased development has already raised pollutant levels, phosphorus, nitrogen, and salt. Sewer Pack reports that Silver Lake has the highest population density in the county with the least amount of open space. That's a dangerous combination for water quality. High density development means more impervious surfaces. Plants and soil naturally slow, filter, and absorb rainwater. High density developments break that system, and retention ponds are an imperfect substitute. From my time on the Kenosha County Land and Water Committee, I learned that many retention ponds are poorly maintained and the county does not monitor them. Sewer Pack has identified land within 1,000 feet of the lake as most critical zone for protecting water quality. This proposed high density development lives well within that zone. The original zoning was designed to prevent overbuilding, preserve open space, and protect this environmental corridor. Maintaining the existing zoning, the proposed 5 lots preserves the natural water cycle through minimal disturbances, soil infiltration, rain gardens, and permeable surfaces. Approving higher density now shifts long-term cleanup costs to the Lake District and the community, while increasing the risk of algae blooms, beach closures, and lake restrictions. Outcomes that already cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is not anti-development. It's responsible economic development. Conservation creates jobs, environmental degradation creates cost, and economic value is more than just tax revenue. Please don't kill the goose that lays a golden egg.
Thank you. Okay.
Ma'am. Okay. Okay.
Okay, we'll go into number 6, committee business, discussion and possible action on the following. Conceptual development plan submitted by Bear Development for a single-family home development preliminarily known as Silver Lake parcels on tax parcels 704-120-083-4214, 704-120-083-4212, 704-120-083-4210, 704-120-083-4255, and 704-120-083-4260. For informational purposes only, these parcels are located on the west side of County Highway B, approximately 200 feet north of Lakeview Drive. Right. Is there anyone here on behalf of the developer who would like to speak first before we get into our discussion?
Dan Shop with Bear Real Estate Group, 4011 80th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the items that we've submitted at the request of the village, but I think it's probably more appropriate that this committee have a discussion on why we're here today and what.
Okay. All right. Brian, do you have these parcels to put up on the screen or no? I probably didn't ask him. You do? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so we are here to discuss these again. These items were tabled by the village board at their last meeting. And we had some additional information on behalf of some community members and some input from the schools. And so that is why we're back here today to talk about this. So I will open it up to the EDC members.
I had a question for Brad. Brad, does the comp plan, what is the intended use for this property on the comp plan? So it's currently, what's the zoning on it? I'm not trying to put you on the spot if you don't know. It's an R of some type, R3.
Three.
So in order for this, Brian, if you could move the plan to something that shows a little more density. Couple clicks forward. Oh, I'm sorry, you're doing, I'm sorry, I thought Brian. We're looking for this one here.
My slides have all the
Oh,
graphics, including land use plan and zoning, if you guys want to look at it.
you know, I just wanted to get on the screen for the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There it is.
Okay.
So is the public been exposed to this? Has everybody seen this plan? No. Well, like.
We can't have back and forth with,
we
it's
can't-
not,
Just make it easier.
sorry, it's not a public hearing type meeting.
So in 2019, there was a plan brought forth that had much higher density than this plan. And I think our job in the EDC, and I'm only speaking for myself, is to try to figure out, moving forward, the village hasn't had a new neighborhood since 2004. And I understand that this is where you guys live. I get that. But we have to try to find some kind of compromise because our schools, we do need to bring more housing in, and the affordability factor is a huge issue. And I hate to say it, the only way that we can accomplish that and get the price down is to squeeze in houses a little bit tighter. And I know that's frustrating, but from a cost standpoint, it's really difficult to get away from that, from how much housing costs. I hear the water quality issue. I don't agree with it. I think that I'm a developer and a builder. I get it that maybe these things don't get taken care of long term, but I can't prove a negative. I can only go based on what the DNR requires the stormwater to do. And the main focus of from the DNR in Wisconsin is water quality. So I think that this development will cause more issues with Silver Lake than the lower density. No, I actually think this will probably protect Silver Lake more because you actually have a stormwater detention system, where with the lower density you won't. I personally feel that we need something like this in our community. And I don't like to hold property owners hostage either. I feel like nobody wants anything, and we got to find some kind of middle ground that we can say, hey, we got to do something to help out the community. I get it. A lot of people think, oh, development, it never lowers taxes. Well, it does lower the speed at which taxes go up. And I don't think this density that's being shown now with 19 units is that much more than what is existing currently, maybe slightly.
It's at 23, I thought.
Well, the ones on Dell Road, I'm not really looking at, I'm sorry, because I'm kind of looking at more of the cluster than the ones on Dell Road. I'm looking at the ones that are going to impact you guys, which are the ones off Lakeview, not the ones on Dell. Because there is no access through Lakeview to Dell, I take it. So I think we have to entertain something like this. I think it comes to a point where we have to look at this and say, we want to bring people in our community, whether it's policemen or nurses or doctors or whoever, to live in our community, and the affordability and the availability for homes just doesn't exist. And I think at some point in time, we have to look at some of these projects and say, yeah, this makes sense. And I get it. Some of these properties are close to other properties, and I understand. Maybe that's something that can be tweaked, but I think the overall plan, in my view, is something that should be considered for the village. I think the 5 lots is not a great use of that land. I think that from a taxing standpoint, we're not developing it. We got to pick strategic areas to do things. And I'm sorry that it's happens to be in your backyard, but I think this is an area where we should consider something like this.
I just tag team on something that you said there, actually more along the lines of, we can't have a back and forth, but if I remember some other public comments correctly, I want to ask Brad and Andy. So on the 5 lot concept, there would not, I thought somebody said earlier on a public comment that they want the 5 lots and water quality protection, but in the 5 lot concept, there is no retention pond required, correct? Do I understand that correctly? And so, and also a manicured lawn does barely any retention of actually after 1/4 inch of rain, shedding begins. So, and I do totally understand impervious surface doesn't, we all know that. But it's hard to think that this development is a safer development if our concern is Silver Lake, which it's my concern, but if that's where the thought process is, which one protects the lake better? Am I incorrect to say that the stormwater retention pond and having some kind of retention available versus the 5 lots with 0 retention and full runoff has almost no protection for Silver Lake? So just, there's a lot of ways to look at this stuff and I'm a fisherman, outdoorsman, love Silver Lake. But we couldn't, and to make it more clear, we could not, the way we're structured, our ordinances, the zoning, we could not require the developer on 5 lots to put a retention system in, correct? So we can't change the rules because of something we want to do. These are the rules we have to follow. So 5 lots, no protection for Silver Lake. This development, actual protection through a DNR does approved, as a DNR would approve the storm retention pond. So just something to think about.
Where is the environmental corridor on the 23 lot? Yeah. All right, and you're not touching, this plan does not touch that.
Rita, would you be so kind to point out where you're talking about?
Well,
Or maybe put the cursor on it?
So it would be in the eastern border. Look.
so look down,
Yeah.
Scroll down.
So you see where the stormwater pond is,
Uh-huh.
where they're planning it to go in. That open area there is all environmental.
so in the bottom right corner, that whole area.
It's got kind of a step.
And what are you looking at with that, Rita? I'm sorry.
Well, I just know that the environmental corridor is a big factor in this and has been for before me. Oh, scroll down just a bit more.
So it's Sarah's operating the screen.
Yeah.
Can we also go a little bit further with when we focus in on environmental corridor? What is or isn't happening in that zone when we say we want to protect that environmental corridor? Is it wildlife? Is it,
No.
what is it exactly?
Don't touch.
Don't touch as in because it's in a protected status?
So there's no roads or homes put in that area. We're not, and they're not moving it.
Yeah, to make any adjustments in that, you'd have to petition. State, and it's almost in, that's tough. So
Do you wanna,
maybe Dan can speak enough.
Sure. Primary environmental corridor is identified areas of natural resources that Sewer Pack Regional Plan Commission is identified to protect. The only limitation on primary environmental corridor is you cannot extend public sewer into a primary environmental corridor. So what we're showing here in this concept is that we're holding that outside of the plat of a proposed plat of subdivision if we go this route, right? That's an existing parcel right now. If we want to pull a permit for a building permit, we can, we can do that. So my thought is in the future is that stays outside of the plat on a separate parcel and we pull a building permit for that using a private sewer interceptor. There's no reason, there's no natural resource lift or quality or anything there that's actually, the way this property sits, there's more natural resources on the area outside primary environmental corridor. So this designation doesn't make sense from the start. So we want to reserve the right to use that 3 acres to build one single family home using a private sewer interceptor, if that's the way that the village wants to proceed. But I don't want to say that that's forever and always no touch area, a specimen of natural resources. It's not, it's a pasture.
got it.
I
Thank
have a
you for
question for Dan.
clarifying that.
Is there, with this new development, with this density, would you need a PUD or would like just a rezone be adequate?
The only way that this development scenario works is if the entire property that's owned by our group is rezoned to the R6 urban single family residential district. So that would be the first step, no matter what, is if the policy of the village is, wherever this lands up, if it's higher density, the one thing that's for certain is that this property needs to be rezoned to R6. And then from there, we would have the confidence, right? And that's the point where we've never gotten to on this project is we need some level of confidence to move to the next step, which is platting and design engineering. There's not one stitch engineering on this. So, I mean, I know the sewer works. I know we can drain it to the spot that I show the pond. It's not sized appropriately. It's not, it's not shown with any kind of grading, to facilitate this plan.
And hypothetically, you may lose density in order to achieve that.
Correct. So that's why this is kind of a risky little, we're showing here at the absolute pain point of how this thing can work financially. So if it changes, and we've gone through this road before on the 2019 and the 25 plan, but and the only way this works for our company is we need to build ourselves out of it. We need to build each and every house in here because this plan and the sixth plan or the 6 lot plan they work the same way.
Yeah, because the cost of the road is very expensive.
Correct. So that's why we showed 2 plans. But it's really a policy decision on how to follow the land use plan.
Sure.
I have a question because being representative of the planning and zoning here, and the question came, we passed it unanimously. And I just wanted you to touch a little base of, back in 2025, you brought this to move forward. And then suddenly, we got the 5 lot plan. And I think there was some confusion on why it changed. And so, yes, we all passed it thinking this is what worked for you, but how and you started to touch on that a little bit, but I think we need to really truly understand why it changed.
Sure.
Because I don't think, even though it passed, I don't think if this 5 lot plan was loved by the planning and
Yeah.
zoning at all.
I mean, I've got a couple slides that we could run through and really basically it's a history of this property,
Yeah.
like going from 2019 to 25 to where we sit today. If you guys want to, if you want to take the time, I think it might spell it out a little better
I don't know if
graphically.
we want to take a lot of time, but I think it's important that people
well,
understand how
yeah.
this
Yeah,
changed
I'd
through
like
the
to
time.
see the plan from 19, the density is considerably less.
So in 2019, we came up with a higher density plan, but we had to impact the corridor, right? To make the density work. Sewer pack had, it was an absolute no. They wouldn't extend public sewer into that area. So what we ended up is going to a plan that looks very similar to this. And we showed it to Plan Commission. It actually went through Plan Commission and was approved. We brought it to Village Board and we were very, very clear that said like, look, this is like the absolute, we can't take this risk as a company in good faith and try to do this deal if we lose 1 lot. And the conversation at Village Board turned into losing several lots. So we were like, it doesn't work. We're going to the 5 lot scenario, right? Like, I mean, we're not kidding. This thing is so skinny that these are not the only reason why we're here today talking about this is because there's been this swell of saying, hey, can we do something a little more dense? So we're here, and the only way it works for us is we build ourselves out of it. But if we start taking lots out of this and saying, oh, this is too dense, this is too close to the neighbor, this one doesn't have the right view or whatever, or this one doesn't support a garden shed, we can't do it. I mean, it's just, I'm not lying. There's a point where a project doesn't work and we're there. So it's either we rezone the property and we work towards a design in the R6 district, kind of like what we're showing, or we have to go to the 5 lot project, or we just don't do anything. I mean,
That 5 lot didn't have water protection to the lake.
Yeah.
And
so
that was always a concern with the 5 lot, and that's why I was very concerned on how well that would work.
yeah, so the way it sits right now is this property is 14 and 4/10 acres, and it's made up of 5 separate parcels. So we can rearrange the property lines. We can go through a CSM and we start with 5, we can end up with 5. We're a little short on frontage. That's why we asked for the PUD. Yeah, if we did this, there would be each building pad would be, we wouldn't submit a grading plan except for a building permit set. There would be no public infrastructure. There would be no public storm sewer or any engineered drainage. So really the governor that we would have is like, we couldn't shed any more water than that's being shed from the property right now. Like, we can't increase our drainage onto our neighbor. Like, all this water goes into a cross culvert that goes under County Highway B right now, undetained. If we started farming this, right? Take the trees down, we start farming it. If we can't do anything else, there's no regulation. So, I mean, not saying we would do that. I'm just saying it's hypothetical, right? Like, but no, you're absolutely correct. In a 5-lot situation, there would be no need for a stormwater basin.
Well, you say no need, but no requirement.
No
either.
requirement.
Yeah.
So I don't want to complicate this, but Rita and I were just kind of touching base. Is there any scenario where you could see that cul-de-sac coming through and tying in the Dells Road so there is another
No.
exit?
No, we've sliced and diced this thing every which way to get to where we're at. And the whole trick to this thing, or not a trick, but it's absolutely have to minimize the amount of public infrastructure that is going into this project. We're at like 675 linear feet of roadway. And it has to be efficient. It has to be the least amount of public infrastructure. Once we start carving that road up, you're talking $1,000 a foot going down the road. I mean, it's a math equation, right? And pretty soon it doesn't work. And we've got it to a point where we think it can work.
Right. Thank you. Ross, are you good then?
Yeah, I just,
Okay.
like I said, I know at the planning and zoning, and there was a lot of people uncomfortable with this, especially in talking afterwards, but with the 5-lot. When we said, well, why did the other one change? You had mentioned that you put the pencil to it and it wasn't working. And but that might have changed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. 24 home sites. We're not talking about doing any kind of, we've already talked about this before, no improvements to Dells Road. Right? We would do this in a rural cross section, just like the rest of the neighborhood where there's not curb gutter sidewalk. And then we would need village cooperation on the 24th lot. That's a separate parcel. We need to service that with a private sewer to get that to work. So we end up with 24 lots, but it's going to take a lot of a lot of working with the village to make this work, because
And the lot sizes are comparable to the lot sizes that are in the adjoining
Yeah.
neighborhood.
So the average is 21,000 square feet, right? But that's kind of, there's one that's 3.5 acres and there's one that's 6,500 square. Yeah, 6,500 square feet. So that's that meets the R6 district, but that's a pretty small lot. So. I mean,
How are the lots in comparison, Lakeview, are they fairly comparable to these sides?
I mean, looking at this here, it's kind of, it shows up on these papers he handed out. And I would say close to 50, maybe 60% of what the proposal is, those lots are larger than the homes on Lakeview Drive. The lot sizes.
And that's really a function. It kind of goes back to why can't we do something more with this property? Is that while there's a lot of land here that could be developed, it's the shape, it's the irregularity of this parcel where you can't efficiently wrap a road through there. So yeah, we have these lots that are 60 64 feet wide, but they're 16,000 square feet, right? Because we're just using up the property, but you can't, you know, if the property was a perfect square, we'd run a street on the other side and catch that other 8,000 and make 2 lots, but we can't.
And the road and ditches would be built the same way that Lakeview Drive is for the most part?
Yeah, there, you know, there's no way to get around it, is that there has to be a component of underground storm sewer here. So there'd be roadside swales, but then eventually it would go underground into a storm sewer, because we're gonna have to create some kind of easement to get the water out of this new street into the stormwater basin.
Well, that was gonna be my, I'm mainly asking these questions for the public. I kind of understand how it works.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that all the water that falls on this area, rainfall and on the roads does get captured and brought into that retention pond.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a combination of grading, right? Swales, backyard swales, roadside swales, eventually getting it to a low point. It's gonna be conveyed by a underground storm sewer to a stormwater basin. There, you know, the basin's gonna be calculated for volume and depth. So, you know, in a calculated event, all the drainage from the site goes to the basin. It's big enough where the water can stay and the solids settle out. And then there's a outfall structure at the end of the pond with an orifice that's designed to release the water at a rate that is prescribed by the DNR that we can, you know, so it's gonna be released over time. It doesn't just wash out. You know, the pond fills up, it hits the orifice, it comes out the other side of the outfall structure, and you know, it's all goofy math that I don't understand, but it has to meet village code, and it has to meet county code, and it has to meet state code.
So Dan, I know that there's been some complaints about some flooding. I thought it was along the back side of this parcel. Am I correct in that? And I guess, I know that, if we did this plan and there was the stormwater plan, would that help that?
So, I don't know the exact details of the issue.
Okay.
You know, I've heard that there's issues. But what I've understand is there is quite a bit of grade coming on this property that goes from east to west.
Yeah.
And it kind of ends up at the northeast section of that cul-de-sac of Lakeview Drive. So I think it's there's 3 or 4 homes in the cul-de-sac
Yeah.
that in major rain events get some water. So without doing a lot of, I mean, I looked at the as-built of there's a storm sewer catch basin on Dells Road. I think there's enough gravity to get it there, like pitch to get it. Basically what we would do is we would put a rear yard structure, install a big catch basin with a beehive grate. So all the water from the rear yards would go into the catch basin, and then we would, you know, if this project were to advance, I would pipe it and I would take it to our pond, because there isn't a whole lot of pitch to get it up to Dells Road. And quite honestly, from Dells Road, I have no idea where it goes. So I could be creating a problem. If I drained it to that catch basin on Dells Road and I don't know where it's going, it could be a problem a quarter mile away. So
Right. Brad, do you know exactly where that was? Okay. Okay.
But for clarity, you wouldn't be doing that. You'd be grabbing it and putting it to the design storm.
correct. I mean, if a plan similar to this goes and we're actually engineering and grading, doing mass grading on the site, we would have the pen to say, okay, we're gonna tip the site this way to this low point, and then we're gonna tip it this way to get it to the pond. So we would, if we did something like this where we're doing mass grading, we could solve the problem. I'm quite confident.
All right. Brad, maybe you know this quickly or not. What is the road rating on Lakeview Drive? So it'll be due to get redone. Okay. Because that will be if this did move forward, that would be another issue to tackle is, you know, the condition of the road from building. So, all right, go ahead if there's anybody else.
question. People written email, stuff like that. Mostly about the storm. So, I mean, that's basically. You talked about the potential that home would be built on the open lot off the beach. Would that water also go into that potential?
I don't think so, because I mean, we're talking one house on almost 4 acres. And I mean, that wouldn't be something that we would try to pipe uphill, right? Because no, that one would go, that would go undetained. I mean, if we would have to do a rain garden or something like that to slow it down. But there's really, you know, the major grade where stormwater really picks up and comes screaming down on this property is up in the northeast corner. That 3 acres, it looks like a horse pasture. That doesn't need detention.
do have one question. I mean, I've been following this some for the last couple of years, and it always comes down to the impact on the lake and that environmental corridor. And I've heard it for years, both directions. It would impact, it wouldn't impact. And so really, what is the actual answer to that? And what is the source of that information?
Well, as I mentioned before, there is primary environmental corridor on our site. It doesn't mean that it can't be used, right? It's all it means is we cannot run a municipal public sewer through it and create, to serve it with public sewer. If you drive by the site today, it's probably the one portion of the site that doesn't look like environmental corridor, right? So, we can certainly build a house there. And as far as the lake impact, I don't know. I mean, I'm the first one to say, I don't know. I mean, we've developed properties in proximities to lakes before, and as long as you follow the DNR standards for stormwater and you release it at the same rate that you did before you got there, there shouldn't be an impact of the lake. But I mean, I'm not an expert, or, I'm just saying, I know if, like, we filed engineering plans with the village, right? And we asked the DNR for a notice of intent to grade the site. I'm going to get it. I mean, because we're going to meet all the standards. There's nothing that says this property's offline. So I'm confident that if we design the site properly, that we're going to be able to get any permit that we need from the DNR.
I'm confident that too, but I guess Ross too, in planning and zoning, was there concerns about, like they had talked about phosphorus and salt and, those types of things that there's going to be significantly more of. Is that an issue? Is it a concern?
Well, it's probably not, these residential roads don't get salted like Highway 50. They get very, very low salt. So I don't know that would increase a lot. I can think that Brad would be able to answer that question. It would be minimal. Phosphorus trees, but the fertilizer plant, stuff like that. That's what you had the retention on. That's all. And that would be, having a retention pond would be better than not having it. If somebody developed this whole, the homes that would go on these bigger lots are going to be bigger homes. They'll quite often take it bigger lawn or take care of and probably fertilize heavier typical residential. Like, that's up to the individuals, but I think capturing it is more important than not capturing, because you get some heavy rain now, instead of kind of a wild, more runoffs can come off of lawns than they are off kind of the wild setting that it is.
If I just might add, I feel confident that the stormwater system will meet the standards that are put in place. we can't prove a negative. We can't prove that down the road. We just have to look at, hey, these are the standards. This is what Bear would have to meet or any other developer. And once those standards are met, you're allowed to move forward. I can't look in the crystal ball and think, whether or not somebody's going to take care of the stormwater and that. I don't think that's something that we should even really consider. I think that we just look at it, it's going to be done properly, or it's not going to be done at all. And like Dan said, this could be tough to even make this happen. So, I think it's a challenge for me. The bigger issue is, we got to think about our schools, and our job in the EDC is to look, how do we bring prosperity and help our tax base, and it will be impacted. We're seeing how inflation has really crippled all these communities. A lot of communities are borrowing money now to survive. So we have to tweak some things. And I think this is something that, in my view, where I live, there's going to be a development that's going to blow this out of the water, and I'm fine with it. So it's unfortunate, but these smaller lots make housing more affordable, and I think it's tough.
And one more comment on the phosphorus is that there are new laws that professionally, we cannot put phosphorus on an established lawn. Only when you're starting a new lawn. So, can a homeowner fertilizing their own lawn do it? Well, they can do a lot of things that professionally you can't do, but, really the phosphorus has been mitigated. Farm fields are going to be more of a problem than a fertilized turf lawn.
I think Jeff
Yeah.
wanted to chime in. Yes, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. When in the past and what continues right now is that when developments like this are approved, they cannot legally channel their stormwater onto adjacent properties. They've got to take care of it themselves. There's going to have to be a stormwater management engineering study that is going to be taken up before the final approval. And what this would do with the new ordinances and the new advocacy by the state for runoffs, you're probably going to have a better, in fact, I definitely think you're going to have a better runoff than what you have before. And also comparing it to past developments, it's going to be better too. If I'm wrong on that, somebody, please correct me, but I'm not concerned with the runoff because I think they're going to have to do it right, and they have done it right in the past. I don't think there's any reason to doubt that. And as someone who used the Silver Lake quite a bit, I would be concerned if I were advocating for this development if that weren't the case.
Okay.
Madam President, to jump in real quick, couple questions.
Yes.
I kind of want to touch on pond maintenance, and Brad, would you be the right person to maybe answer those? Okay. So there's concerns if the pond will be maintained correctly. And when it comes to maintenance, from what little I know about storm retention ponds, it'd be a silting in and loss in volume, which would be a change in the calculations of what the pond was originally designed for. Is that pretty much the main number, the main item? That was my next question is that there will be, and Dan, there would be an HOA created that would be in charge of that pond, and that whole subdivision would be an HOA for that?
Yeah,
for what
correct.
reason?
There'd be a homeowners association. They would own the basin. There'd be the stormwater management agreement that Brad talked about is something that we signed at the start. It's assignable to the HOA. Talks about inspections and maintenance, and it goes through a annual 5-year, 10-year maintenance and inspection by the village.
And maybe historically across the state, going into the past, if inspections or checkups by local government wasn't up to par, as some suggestions are come across on that from public comments, today and speaking in 2026 with your experience as a developer and Brad, being where we're at today, what triggers or what automatic reviews come from the DNR, or is that the agency that would say, hey, you're at year number 5 or whatever it is, and we need to see a report on that pond, and that would go to the HOA? How does that work?
Well, the agreement's recorded against property, right? And it's the agreement between the HOA or the developer and the village of Salem Lakes. So there's responsibilities on both sides to, our responsibility as the HOA or the management company is to do these annual inspections, right? And then it's the village's responsibility, or, I'm not sure if it's the village or the county or whoever, but to join in on these inspections and to point out like if something's going wrong. I can tell you that, just the way we do it is that, we over dig these basins, right? So like this, the main issue is going to be silt, right? And really 90% of the silt is going to come into this pond when we're building it, right? Once it's stabilized and things are going, the pond's not taking on silt. So we over dig it, knowing that, who knows, right in the middle of our construction season, we might have a monsoon, right? And the pond is gonna take on some silt. So we over dig it. And usually these things are modeled. So, the basin's not going to need any kind of dredging for 50 years or more, right? But if there's a concern, people do probes into the bottom of the pond. You can do that. I'm just not really familiar with any ponds that we've had issues with, because we design them right from the get-go. And really, like, if the pond's gonna be in harm's way, it's gonna be while you're building it.
So it's like you said, once the subdivision's built out, the pond is stabilized as in turf growth. And then there's this annual monitoring, and if something's identified, then generally it would be like the HOA put on notice and they'd have to move forward with
Corrective actions.
corrective actions. And before the finalization of the build out of the project, that the inspections of that pond being grown out and accepted and
Yeah.
at the right depth is like step
So,
number 1.
I assume this is the case in Salem Lakes because it's the case in most villages and municipalities, but like before anything is accepted, we submit very detailed grading as-built and pond volume calculations that have to meet our stormwater management plan. So like the city will get a full set of grading, like this is how this is the pond and its as-built condition. And then there's a volume calculation there that says this pond will hold this much. And then the village engineer checks it against our stormwater management report that we've done. If it checks out, we're good. If it doesn't, we have to go back out there with the machines and make it right.
I appreciate you going to the detail for the benefit of the public. Thank you, Dan.
I just want to go over a few more things here, and then I think we can talk about this. So in my view, the evaluation benefits of this project are increased tax revenue per acre of land with this higher density, which appears to be in most cases similar to the surrounding area. So I think that's a positive. The school district, clearly we need to figure out how to get more housing in our community, to get more kids in affordable housing. Density does achieve some of that. I wish it could be cheaper, but unfortunately it's just the times we live in right now. Obviously with the engineering, I think the stormwater issue is addressed. That, I don't have any great concerns over it. I think it should be reviewed and carefully considered without a doubt. But then when I, look at the benefits from a tax standpoint, when I look at what our job is on the EDC is to look for opportunities and things that can make the village a little more prosperous. I think this is a project that I could go along with. So I'd like to make a motion for the EDC if nobody else has anything else to say.
Well, I think it's worth, we do have a workup here, the 2 scenarios for taxes, and I think it's worth verbalizing that.
Why don't you do that?
Okay, and if I understand what I'm looking at here correctly, so the 5 parcel project projected annual taxes comes in at just under $50,000. Am I reading that correctly? Am I missing anything?
Yeah, looks right.
That's correct. I mean, we just assigned a value to it. I'm not sure if it'll, at the end of the day, if those complete assessed values are, I mean, they could be, that's just
Sure.
me spitballing, right?
Right.
But
And-
taking the mill rate, you come up with a tax bill times 5 is what an annualized taxes.
And then if with the 19 plus 4 and 1 coming to 25, however you want to look at that. You have that one kind of spelled out at projected annual taxes is 163,587.
That's based on 22 home sites being final value at 465 which I think is light, to be honest with you. And then 2 state type full build outs at 600. So yeah, this is kind of guerrilla math, so it's just more of a,
Do you know what percentage of that goes to schools? Do you know what that breakdown is?
I think it's
So usually I want to say that we're 18% and the county's 21%. And I'm trying to remember the other parts of the pie.
I want to say it was Dennis. Do you remember?
The technical college gets a piece.
I'm only letting you because you're a board member. No, just
No.
percentage of school
When
tax.
you have
What
taxes and you have the
percentage
pie,
schools are-
For schools, okay. All right. All right. And I'll say too, we did hear from the schools at the board meeting. And it was Riverview who also had a conversation with Wilmot High School. And they are both in favor, obviously, of the higher density because they need kids in the schools. Our schools are struggling and trying to get kids. People are not having as many children. We also, as a village, struggle with higher costs, and we've talked about that. We had to borrow 1.9 million this year. And the unfortunate part about the Riverview and Wilmot districts are there's not a whole lot of open land, to put neighborhoods. This does fit with the neighboring communities. And I'm in favor of it. I think when I look at the pluses for the village as a whole and our schools, it fits with the surrounding area. It helps to address the stormwater issues. So that's my 2 cents.
I'd like to proceed with a motion. I think the Economic Development Committee recommends that the Lakeview project be forwarded to the Plan Commission with a positive review based on its projected tax benefits, contributions to school districts, still district stability, improved stormwater management, and compared to the low density alternatives, I think the higher density for the village under the current circumstances make economic sense. So I make a motion to move this forward to the Plan Commission.
Do you have that in writing that you can send to me?
Kind of.
Because that was pretty verbose compared to what we normally do. And yeah, if you haven't
So
done, I
should
appreciate
we,
it.
ask Mr. Filiatro to, if he could just, the motion strictly in a moving forward fashion without any
Would you
comparison?
prefer that?
Yes, please.
Okay. I make a motion, the Economic Development Committee recommends that the Lakeview project be moved forward to the Plan Commission under our review in a positive way.
And I will second that.
But you didn't state which one.
Pirates.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to do a roll call on this. I did. We will start with Jeff Albrecht.
Aye.
Okay. Pete Pulley,
Aye.
Sharon Palmaville. Brian Filiatro,
Aye.
and Ross, I know you're not needed, but I'm gonna ask you anyways. Thank you. All right. Okay, I make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. We're adjourned.